Guys, let's talk a little bit about the differences in a Gator Trax hull and a traditional flatboat. One that you may have been in your whole life, and you say you think you understand what an aluminum John boat's supposed to be. This is one on steroids, basically. The difference in that and the traditional hulls and this Gator Trax boat are, we'll start off with the material. The material that we use to build this boat is 125, that's 1/8 of an inch thick, and it's 5086 marine grade alloy. All the other flat boats on the industry, not only do they use a thinner aluminum, 100 thousandths, 90, 80, they also use a softer alloy. They use a 5052 alloy. Maybe like the difference in a coffee tin and a Coke can. One's a little bit harder to crunch than the other. This one is more dent resistant because it's a tougher, stiffer alloy. And we know what you guys are going to do in these hulls, and we built them to accommodate you. You're going over stumps, logs, rocks, sandbars, anything that's in the water, in shallow water, you're going to come across it one day and hit it. You'll be prepared in this boat. Not only is the boat thicker and has a stiffer alloy, but it's made from one solid piece of aluminum. This piece of aluminum I have my hand on here is the same piece that's on the other side of the boat. This hull used to be laid flat on the ground like a piece of paper, 8 foot wide, 18.5 foot long. We reach out, grab the outer edges of the sheet, and wrap that sheet up to give it one seamless piece of aluminum with no seams anywhere in the bottom of this boat except where it's stitched together at the transom in the back and the rake in the front. From there to the front, no seams in the hull, one piece of aluminum. Another feature that sets us apart from traditional flat boats is because we pull that boat up and make it out of one solid piece of aluminum, it gives us a rounded chine. The chine, for those guys out there that don't know, is where the side meets the bottom of the boat. And most boats that are flat bottom boats in the aluminum realm have a square corner there. That square corner is terrible for shallow water performance. What happens is, as you begin to go forward in 10 feet of water, 20 feet of water, doesn't matter, and you turn a curve, we've all been in that situation where the flat boat skidded around the corner. That is exaggerated tenfold in shallow water. When you get in 10 inches of water or less, that boat moves forward, it pushes water down. You can't get out of the way fast enough before that water hits the bottom and bounces back up and hits your hull and lifts your hull. And that's when you run faster in shallow water. That's why you run faster, rather, in shallow water than you do in deep water. There's less boat in the water. It's been lifted up. The problem with that is, with traditional flat boats, is you start getting real squirrely when you're up that high and there's not much boat in the water. This rounded chine will allow you to stay high in the water column and still turn and sharp turns and narrow ditches, or you have people pull out in front of you in the dark, or you don't want to run into a tree and you have to turn as hard as you can right now and you need that boat to turn. This boat will do it, where the other ones will just slide and hit whatever you were trying to avoid. That rounded chine is patterned after an airboat. Nothing else goes in shallow water like an airboat. This is as close as you can get to an airboat for a motor with a propeller in the water. This boat will not slide in shallow water. You can't make it slide. And the reason you can't make it slide is the rounded chines on the bottom of this hull. Another feature that sets us apart is the longitudinal ribs. The longitudinal ribs in this boat do not go across the hull. We don't have any braces that go across our boat and touch the bottom of the hull. If you see a brace in a Gator Trax boat that's going across the hull, it's doing so elevated, it's suspended. You can run your hand under it. It will not touch the bottom of the boat. The reason for that is traditional flat boats that have the braces going down the side, across the bottom, up the other side every 12 to 14 inches, when you hit something with that boat begins to flex until that obstruction gets to that cross brace. When it hits that cross brace, there's no place for that cross brace to go. Heck, it's welded to the floor. That's where your dent occurs. When you start getting dents in the bottom of your boat, you can look at those traditional flats that were used in shallow water. Look underneath that hull. You can see every rib in the bottom of the hull. Looks like cornrows. And that's terrible for your performance. It'll start getting air to the propeller instead of 100% water to the propeller. And it takes a 30-mile-an-hour boat and makes it a 25-mile-an-hour boat. It's the #1 killer for shallow water boats is hooks in the bottom of the hull caused by those cross braces. We don't have any. All of our braces that touch the bottom of our hull run with the grain of the water, if you will. They run lengthways, just like this. And they run from the back of the hunt deck all the way to the front of the boat uninterrupted. 1x2 rectangular tubing, an 1/8 of an inch thick. That is a bracing system that you want in a boat that you intend to run shallow, because if you're going to run shallow, you're going to hit things. That's a dent prevention bracing system. Another thing guys ask us a lot is, can I take this mud motor and put it on the back of my traditional flatboat? And the answer to that is yes, you can, but it's going to cause some problems. The reason that this boat is so closely paired with that mud motor for optimum performance are several. Number one, the boat has to sit level. The boat has to sit level in the water to run shallow. You don't want a boat that weighs 250 pounds and strapping a 300-pound mud motor on the back of it, because that's what they weigh, guys. These 35 horsepower Mud Buddy motors, and all of them throughout the industry, no matter which mud motor you get, is going to weigh about 300 pounds on the back of that boat. If it weighs just as much or almost as much as your boat does, your boat's going to sit very heavy in the back end, which means instead of drafting 5 or 6 inches throughout the hull, you're going to draft 9 inches in the back and 2 in the front. These boats sit flat as a pancake on the water. They handle the weight of that motor back there because the hull is a little bit heavier. It's got more weight out front to balance it back out again. That's one reason. Another reason that you don't want to have this on another boat is because of the other features that we talked about. There's no crimps on the bottom of this hull. Another feature that makes the buying the right boat to go with that mud motor important is that what we talked about earlier. Slick, smooth bottom. No crimps in the bottom of the hull. A lot of guys confuse that as being keels. They're not keels. They don't have anything to do with keels. If you take a piece of paper and hold it out and it just limps down, then you take the paper and crease it and you can poke it straight out. That's why they put crimps in the hull, because they're using thinner aluminum that won't stand on its own. We have thicker aluminum, and our braces are on the inside of the hull in the form of those 1x2 rectangular tubing, so we can get away with a slick, smooth bottom on the bottom of this hull. It won't catch you on a log. It won't hang you up on a sandbar. It won't suction you down to a mud flat. It's a slick, smooth bottom. The rounded chines that we talked about earlier will allow you to traverse in shallow water. Those are, and without sliding, those are some of the features that makes it important to put that motor on the back of. And I tell guys like this, you can put street tires on a four-wheel drive, and it'll work most of the time until you get off-road for what you bought that truck for, and then it's not going to work as well. If I want to get to North Louisiana from down here, I can ride a bicycle and get there, but I'd rather take a vehicle. And another thing that's going to happen to that bicycle, if I ride it back and forth all that way all that time, I'm going to tear it up. I'm going to use the snot out of it, and it's not designed to do that. This boat is designed to run with that motor, and it's designed to go through the areas that motor can take you through. Take that beating that you're going to give it, and come back again and do it again tomorrow. Another point that is a good selling point on these hulls for you guys to take into consideration is the warranty. The warranty on our boats is what we call a limited lifetime warranty. The first 5 years that you own the hull, any problems you have with workmanship or material is covered for free. Year 6, year 8, year 15, you come back to us and you have a problem with this hull, the worst we'll charge you per incident is $300. Now you come back to us with a cracked well on a lid, we're not going to charge you $300. But if you come back to us with the transom falling off, you're not out thousands of dollars for a new hull that you need to buy. We'll fix it and make it right for a maximum charge of $300. And that offers to you as long as you own the hull.